Welcome back to Embracing Marketing Mistakes, the show that teaches you growth from failure. I'm Chris Norton and joined as ever by Will Ockenden. And today we have a guest I've been looking forward to speaking to for a very long time. He's a fellow of the CIPR, a former president of the Chartered Institute of Journalists, and one of the most outspoken ethical voices the industry actually has. Here is the twist that makes today fun though. He taught PR for over 2 decades and now one of his former students gets to dig through the past, ask the really awkward questions. I know you guys are going to enjoy this. There's tons of value here today and some of the mistakes are gold. So sit back, get a coffee and enjoy. So, Robert Minton-Taylor, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here.
So, we've got a description here of you as the PR veteran, former journalist, agency leader and PR lecturer of more than, it says 20 years, but it's actually...
24.
Yeah, I was going to say it's more than 20 years.
You used AI, didn't you?
Well, no, the team did. I didn't. So, what are you doing today? What are you doing in 2026 in your day to day?
I was given my world changed in 2024, May 2024, when I was sitting in front of an oncologist who told me I had 6 years to live because I had stage 4 prostate cancer. And that really turned my life upside down, as it would for most people. But I was then 77. And it changed my life. So I now, in a way that I do all my work is for voluntary work, and if I get paid, I put it straight back into charities. So I don't take anything for myself except for, travel expenses. So I now work for as a public governor at Airedale NHS Trust, and as you know, the NHS is going through humongous changes and problems. They're building a £1.5 billion new hospital. It's one of the 7 hospitals being built in the country, but we don't know. We're finalising design and everything else. And that's really exciting. And I work for Yorkshire Cancer Research, and I know you've done some work with them.
The recliner bars. We've done loads of work.
They're fantastic. Yeah, they're fantastic. And I work for stroke charities. I help put together a thing called All Things Stroke for people who are sufferers of stroke, patients and relatives. So they, in plain English, so people could understand the condition, and particularly if they were still working and how they get back into work. Mm-hmm. And we were just discussing our mutual friend, Andy Green. So I'm going to be sending him things he can look at in his hospital bed about how to recover from that. And I work for prostate cancer. I do stuff for a thing called Hope for Tomorrow. They run the mobile, they look like F1 motorhomes for Formula 1 and motor racing, but they've been adapted for mobile treatment centres.
Oh, yeah.
They're fantastic. They really are fantastic. So I work with them too. So I'm an offshoot of their corporate comms department, because charities don't have any money.
No.
And the last thing they're spending on marketing and PR. And like Yorkshire, the charity you work for, which is fantastic, Yorkshire Cancer Research. So I just take off them stuff they don't have the arms and legs to do.
That's great.
And I get a lot of enjoyment from that. I'm not a physical go out and walking around the hills, even though I live in the countryside, albeit with a station. I need to keep my mind active, otherwise I get very depressed.
So do you miss you joined the PR profession agency side, didn't you, in the 70s? Is that right? Mm-hmm. So what was that like? And do you miss the kind of, because it's I'm sure it's not, well, how's it changed since the 70s? I mean, do you miss the hustle?
I started life as a journalist. I trained in the late 1960s when they were still setting type by hand. And
Crikey.
Okay, and then I joined a company called Townsend Torres, and it was a bit like the Ryanair of today. All the ships were called Free Enterprise 1, Free Enterprise 2, 3, 4, 5. But they had that catastrophic disaster, the Herald of Free Enterprise. And they were an interesting company. They were fast and furious, and I spent 6 years working with them, and I learned everything about how to organize an event. You walk the event. You don't just write it down. You actually walk. How many steps is it from the coach door to the lift in inside the ferry if we're going to have a party? And are there going to be any loading delays? So you've got to take those into account. What happens if someone spills their wine all over themselves? Have we got a separate tie and shirt for the CEO in case that happens? I learned all that, and it was fantastic. And then I joined Purposeful in 1979.
But Burst and Master is still going?
No, it's become Burson, Kern and Wolf, and now it's being sold. It was then swallowed up by WPP.
Yeah.
I left to come to Yorkshire for lifestyle reasons, but I remember when I handed my notice in, the CEO at the time said, "You're the lucky one." And I said, "Well, why is that?" And he said, "Just wait, you'll read about it." And within 6 months, WPP had bought the whole shebang.
Yeah.
And the first thing they did was sack about 100 employees. I mean, they literally folded it in because they owned big brands like Hill and Knowlton, etc. So it's a shadow of its former self. It was then the world's largest, PR agency.
Yeah, I remember.
And I learned so much. It was a very grey agency, but they had even a form about how you should write a press release, how you should deliver a fax, how you write a memo. It was very, we had amazing guest speakers. We had psychologists talking to us about communication. We had behavioral experts. We even had that guy, Morris, the guy who did the work with monkeys about, how you judge people's arm movements and facial expressions, what they actually meaning are from what they say. You learn how to write speeches. We had training sessions, even and I eventually made it to the board, but we had, even as a board director, we had training sessions every week. And if you said we're too busy to send so-and-so executive along to a training session, the next thing would happen in your performance evaluation review, well, I'm sorry, but that's unacceptable. Training comes first.
It's good commitment.
It was really good.
Yeah.
But when WPP bought it, that all went out through the window. And I just wonder how many large... I know you do a lot of training, you do internships and everything else, but it was very rare in those days. We took on about 9 graduates.
I think you've got to work on your junior staff to develop them.
Absolutely.
So that they can develop through the shop floor.
And they've got to be able to learn by their mistakes. And we're going to we're going to talk about some of the gaffes I've made.
Yeah, we're looking
it's the
forward
first time I've revealed some of these things.
Digging into that. So what? Just before we move on from Burst and Marstella.
Yeah, Burst and Marstella.
Burson-Marstella.
Yeah.
Burst and Marstella.
B&M.
There we go.
B&M is
B&M.
Not to be confused with B&H.
So what kind of client work were you doing there? I assume they would have
I
massive
started
brands.
off, I joined because I worked on a shipping account. That's why I got the job. And I worked on container shipping lines, but I worked on cruise lines, everything from pool tables to working with the King Constantine of Greece, try and return him to power, which was this job. I worked with the royals. I worked with
Which royals?
Prince Charles.
Okay,
lovely guy.
I know where you're going with that.
The king now.
You worked with the king.
Prince's Trust, with the Prince's Trust, and that was really good. Cool. Working in Brixton.
Okay, and
that was my first taste of racism. We had, as a guy, we had it was a big Afro-Caribbean community, and Prince's Trust was helping people to
in Brixton.
Yeah. They gave them seed money for starting up businesses, particularly fashion businesses, that sort of things, that they couldn't get from a bank because they had no bank accounts, and they were a bit, Afro-Caribbean.
Yeah, okay.
And so this guy turned up. We had a mentor who was a guy who drove a very smart BMW 5 Series. Every time we went into Brixton, we were stopped by the police. He got out the car. He was frisked. And I remember one day, I said, well, he said that happens every day. So, we'll have to add another 20 minutes onto our journey. One day, the guy, a policeman on the other side, knocked on the window and said, why are you traveling with this black guy? What are you doing in this black guy's car? Seriously. And I said, this was mid-'80s. And I said, well, he's working with the Prince's Youth Business Trust. I don't know whether you know, but it's Prince Charles's charity, main charity. I don't care. Get out of the car. And I got frisked. And I frisked from top to bottom. And I thought, this guy goes through this every day and doesn't make any comment about it. And I was shocked.
Just used to it, by the sounds of it. Wrongly.
Used to it, yeah. But it's still around. I
I'm
mean,
not sure the Met have particularly improved since then.
no, but it's still around. There are graduates from Leeds Beckett University who, have a Muslim-sounding name, and when they try and apply for jobs, they don't get any answers. And I remember saying to them off the record, "Oh, just change your name, first and second name, to Christian-sounding names." And lo and behold, using exactly the same CV, they get interviews.
So talk to us about that. I know this is one of the issues you wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Is racism still a big issue?
It is, but also it's a big issue. I mean, in the hospital, I've had people approach me saying, I don't want to have my blood taken by someone wearing a hijab. I don't want my mother being operated on by a black female surgeon. They're minority, but I think, and they're not your plumbers.
Yeah.
These are professional people. And I think because of the rise of the far right, some of the far right parties, it's become normalized to actually speak about things where you keep the stuff in your head. I mean, I think I'm shocked, but there is subliminal racism, as there is anti-Semitism, as there is Islamophobia. It's there lurking in the background.
Yeah, I mean, I as an employer, I come from the other side of that. Like you've got to look at people applying for jobs, and you've got to. So, for instance, like we would put a job advert out, and we might get some jobs, not necessarily public relations ones, some of our social ones, or our video jobs, or videographers just laughing at me here. Yeah. But we probably get 250 applicants within 48 hours.
I understand.
And at some point, you've got to, if it's a writing job, often English has to be in public relations first. Sure. That said, we've had a few people that it's not that, they're not native English speakers, and they've been very good. So I get that there's people out there in human resources that have to go through tons and tons of CVs, but the fact that you did this stunt where you asked them to change their name,
but it's not companies like you that are doing this. These are large. These are large corporate employers that you and I would know.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
Okay? And then when you bring them to task, so there were 3 companies I brought to task and which spoke to 3 CEOs. 2 said, "We've got to look at this." 1 just sent me their vision and value statement. And I said, look, any fool can write a vision and value statement. I've written lots of them.
It's just box ticking.
It's what you do. It's box ticking. What is it you actually do?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it wasn't me. It was some executive. But I said, well, who's interviewing these people? Who's sorting the CVs out? This is a responsible job. You're looking, the 250 people applying to you, they all demand some dignity unless they put their CV through an AI thing. And I was saying to Will that I've looked at a couple of CVs for jobs recently, and I just thought, well, let's keep saying the same phrase. And I cut and pasted the thing in Google, and lo and behold, it's through AI. And I thought, well, they're applying for a comms job. They don't even deserve to get it because they can't even be bothered to think outside the box.
We get applicants, right? And it'll say, "Dear sirs," and it's got bold in the sentence in the paragraph.
Yeah, well, it's
M dashes all the way through it, and it's clearly
the B's.
Chat GPT.
So who or what else is in your sights at the moment? Then I mean, we've covered obviously racism in the industry.
Hopefully,
I will work. I work basically for not-for-profit organisations, and people. I think, that's a cause to champion,
not for profit.
Yeah, I don't want. I don't want. But I'm the happiest thing I get out of it is working for these charities. We work for the Yorkshire Cancer Research, and they're fantastic to work with. They're really great to work with. But I'm also the stuff I'm doing as a public governor in a hospital. And the interesting thing there is that I'm not. My wife's a former nurse, but I don't know anything about healthcare really. But do you know, it's interesting that most of the issues in the hospital are about communications.
Really?
It's all about communication.
Or lack of communication.
Between different groups. It's a bit like on the campus. I mean, I was shocked when I started lecturing at Leeds Beckett University because when I worked at Burson Marsteller, advertising, design, videos, it then was journalism.
Broadcast, it would have been called then, wasn't it?
Still isn't it?
Yeah.
It was all, they called it the whole egg. You used all these disciplines, including HR. So we had talks from HR lecturers.
Yeah.
And we were mixed. If you go into IKEA's communications department at Leeds, you'll find that they're sitting with logistics experts. Why do you think they're sitting in the logistics?
The communication team.
Yeah.
Why are they sitting with logistics? To make sure that all the logistics are communicated effectively?
Because the biggest complaints they get about non-delivery of stuff, it's picking up stuff from the warehouse and delivering stuff, the wrong screws.
For the university?
No, I'm talking about IKEA.
Oh, IKEA, sorry.
IKEA,
Sorry. I was thinking of your job at the university. IKEA, yeah, definitely logistics. Because that's what they do.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm with you
You'll
now.
have to cut that out.
I always think that's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, so, but that's very much the Swedish way. So when I came on campus and saw there's a room of journalism lecturers, there's a room of PR lecturers, the room of accountancy lecturers, there's a room for HR lecturers, and neither twain meet except for their staff days. I thought, this is crazy. Why aren't they learning from each other? They don't, because they've got information is godlike. You use that information to write your own journal article and books and all that sort of stuff. I've never written a book in my life. I wouldn't know. I'd have the capability. I haven't got the patience. And the patience of a gnat.
What's your view on the sort of state of the industry today? I know you've not been in practice for it, but you will have a view on it, I'm sure. I
think it's... Well, a couple of things. One, I think it's subliminally racist.
More so than
public relations or marketing and everything.
The whole. Well, I'm talking about the whole. I don't. The comms business,
right? Okay.
Marketing and everything else.
More so than other sectors.
I mean, this is called marketing mistakes. So,
that's right. Yeah.
What's the difference between that and PR?
Hi, Mum. Yeah.
And the other thing is ethics.
Okay.
So. I was fortunate enough. I don't know how I got this, but I won the PRCA's outstanding achievement. Blah blah blah.
Francis Ingham thing.
Francis Ingham thing.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I was a bit surprised. 70
last year was that?
Yeah.
Right.
2025.
Right. Great.
So they said, "Oh well, you want you to give." I said, "Can I make an acceptance speech?" And they said, "Well, yeah, but we want to talk about your 60 years in the business." And I thought, I'm not going to do that. I'm dying, so I'm going to say what I think. And I gave a talk about racism in the industry. I talked a bit about AI,
right? Okay.
And I talked about the lack of diversity, particularly in terms of people of Black, Asian, ethnic minority PRs in the business. And you could look around the room. I said, "Look in this room. There's hardly any people other than white." And the people said, "Oh." I said, "Well, how come there's an organisation then called Taylor Bennett Foundation?" Or women in PR. There's no problem about women in PR. And people, women being told you better wear a short skirt because the client, you've got good legs and the client likes good legs.
Yeah.
Or when you return from, maternity leave, you'll be reporting to someone who used to report to you. I mean, what the heck is going on here? So there's that. But the other thing is ethics. If you think about the big disasters we have had, the HIV blood scandal, the recent maternity scandal, the
maternity scandal. Which one was that?
This is where women. It's just come out where women weren't treated properly,
evenly
in hospital.
Okay.
In some maternity units, it's a big issue.
Okay.
I thought you read news.
I do. I read. I
think isn't Leeds teaching hospitals in the crossfire for that?
Yeah,
they're one of the.
The other thing is the Horizon IT. The adoption story. The Horizon IT scandal. The Grenfell Tower. Not one single senior. I'm not talking about just single PR director, either working in house or working in agency, has ever been brought to task by two big bodies, the PRCA and CIPR. Don't you think that's very odd?
And take Grenfell, they're complicit in...
Absolutely. They work for the people who supplied the panelling. They work for the architects. They work for the civil engineers. You're not telling me they didn't know that some of that stuff, if they didn't know, they should have.
Yeah.
And you've got, when I walk into your reception area, nice reception area. What's it got on the wall there?
Pictures?
No,
pictures that I want changing.
It's our values, isn't it?
You mean our values?
Yeah, honesty and
integrity.
Integrity.
Yeah.
And the industry does not have that.
So how
It
was
doesn't have it. Look at.
I don't know.
Look, it
It's not everybody is. I wouldn't say the entire industry is not. It's not. It's
Why
not
have you got it on
integrity.
the wall then? If it's
Because
natural,
because I believe
it's probably not the default position of the industry, is it?
it's not the default position.
honesty in the whole creative sector is an interesting one. I just believe this, but I'm a Yorkshireman and a spade is a fucking spade. So I'll tell somebody, I'll be honest with somebody and lose. We lose work out of telling somebody what they don't want to hear. You can't. You can be
But
kind
you will gain
and be-
clients. I've learned. I mean, you won't know this, but I was actually born in Doncaster.
Okay.
You and Jeremy Clarkson.
I'm
Doncaster man.
returning. Well, his background's Lagrange's, the jars, isn't it? The Kilner jars is his background. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, his family made Kilner.
Also, he had a few quid, did he, Jeremy Clarkson?
Yeah. But I think there's a lot. I look at, the Grenfell Tower. You look at Fujitsu post office thing. I mean, there were guys that were managing those posts. I had a shock a few years ago.
What's more shocking is not the CEO of the post office ever went. Did they ever
yeah,
go?
well, she, the
It was being controlled rather than the comms people.
I'll give you an example. Includes me. We had a student who did an internship with South Yorkshire Police. She rang me up one day. I was late. I got home. She rang me up and said, "Look, I'm really worried, because I've been asked to alter some police statements for the media." And I said, "Oh, you should go to your director of comms, CIPR member, and we have an ethics code to go by." Heard nothing further. She finished her internship and asked to see me, and she said, "Do you mind me being honest?" And I said, "No." She said, "You're an FC UK. You didn't help me at all. You sold me down the river because I was altering police statements. This was for the Hillsborough disaster,
Right.
and I was doing something I knew was wrong because I attended your ethics lectures. But you don't, you were the typical PR person, God, who didn't even question that. You just assume because everybody has written ethics and values that they carry them out. Of course they don't, she said. We didn't do it in the South Yorkshire Police.
God.
It's weird because you look at journalism and their code of ethics. That feels like quite, or it certainly used to. That feels like quite a decent journalist.
Yeah.
is very ethical.
Well, I'm a member of the NUJ as well as CI, and they've got a very good code.
But doorstepping people in death situations is just
Yeah, I've had to do that.
fucking up.
Well, that's how you start on
Yeah.
a look.
You had to do that.
Yeah,
Death
my
knocking,
first
they
week
call it, don't they? Death
as a
knocking.
trainee.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The bridegroom had died on the way to
No.
way back from the wedding. Yeah.
Oh my
And
God, that's awful.
I had to knock on the door and ask, "How do you feel about this?"
I hope you got a good slap. A drink.
But that's where you start as a junior reporter, isn't it?
Tears. And I thought, and I went back and I said, I don't think I'm really cut out for this. So I then went into magazines.
Right.
I couldn't do that. I couldn't do journalism. I mean,
I thought you were a Yorkshireman.
I am, but I can't. I can't deal with emotional things like that. And no.
You're quite an emotional person, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, a little bit. You detect that straight off.
We've
the bat.
had our cross paths in the past,
Will's
haven't
not.
we?
Will's
Yeah.
cold. Will's like a contract killer.
I'll send you death knocking this afternoon. Chris.
You're a good guy, though. That's why I've come today. I think
Thank you.
it's a chance for you to put me in a hot seat.
All right, so
I've got.
I just want to ask about this speech before we move on. So your
Yeah.
PRCA speech, how was that received then?
Well,
and how was it received by the PRCA masters
was it on
as well?
I had 800 plus comments following that speech.
Right.
When was the speech and what was it on?
November 2025.
Okay.
And I had 800 plus comments from women and people of non-whites.
Yeah.
People saying to me, "Yeah, bring it on."
And how did the PRCA? Well, how did the PRCA?
Sarah Waddington was I praised her in the speech.
She's
to
exceptional.
To say that it's great for long last. The PRCA's got a woman at the helm, and it's changing from its
A woman who also speaks
misogyny
right.
past. Exactly.
She's
Yeah.
brilliant.
So-
Well, she's
great.
from the northeast.
Yeah. She's got the northeast accent. She speaks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's a great woman. And
And she's exceptionally bright. And,
Yeah,
and pushes
absolutely.
it through, which is great.
Yeah.
She's been on the show actually.
Is she a friend of the show?
I would say, well, she gave me a hug 2 weeks ago when I saw her at the AI conference.
Oh, she's very huggy.
Yeah. I've got, I mean, that's great. So the fact that I am aware that this is 3 white men talking about
Absolutely.
ethnic diversity
Absolutely.
in an industry.
But the one thing I can do, because I have this terminal condition, is that I've said to people, look, there are a lot of people in my generation who are like this, who are racist, who are Islamophobic, and who are anti-Semitic, and I can talk to them. I don't mind kicking those doors in and telling them what I think.
Yeah, I think social media hasn't helped all that either.
It hasn't helped.
It's made it worse.
It has made it worse because you get all these people piggybacking on things. And when if anybody sends me a racist, and I get quite a few. I've had things like, "You're a Jew lover." They burn people like you in hell. When I put out something about, I think it'd be a good idea if you got your kids vaccinated against German measles because for women, why is it important?
German?
Because they might make them infertile.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Right.
I got things like, "You're a child killer," from anti-vaxxers.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
And these are professional people.
there's
I mean,
loads
look at I don't want to mention the party, but we've got 2 parties in this country who are just completely.
I think we've got about 6 now.
We're just but they're if you went to 1930s Germany, you'd think, oh, they do quite well there.
You really do shoot from the hip, don't you? Right. Let's get into some of your mistakes for the show. So
Yeah.
Can you tell us? I mean, I love this one. When you sent it through. So the Diners Club.
Oh yeah,
example.
the Diners Club.
Yeah.
Well, Diners Club was like
Diners Club
an
car.
alternative. Yeah, it's like an alternative to American Express. I don't know whether it still exists, but it was seen as a bit of a grey card, and we wanted to make it funky.
Right.
And so we hired the Institute of Contemporary Arts, which was a bit funky on Pall Mall, but it's quite posh. It's where people, upwardly mobile executives would want to go. Invitation only. And I hired a band called Nasenbluten.
German?
But they're Australian.
Oh, okay.
From Newcastle in Australia. And they were, I thought they were from Newcastle, but they were Newcastle, Australia. And their first number was something like, "You're Gonna Die." Right.
Okay.
And then they brought out a small pneumatic drill.
Okay.
They're a grunge band. They started drilling the stage.
What band?
A grunge band.
A grunge
band.
right. Okay.
Heavy
So
metal.
Not heavy.
Grunge.
Oh, heavy metal. Right.
Heavy
okay.
metal grunge.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Okay.
So they were going.
Yeah.
You're
And then
right.
they got out a pneumatic drill and started drilling. And
And you'd organised the whole thing.
I'd organised it. Yeah.
Had you not thought to listen to them before you booked them?
Well, I hadn't. I thought, oh, this is quite funky. I'd got the agent. This is well before the days of AI. I just believed all the stuff that was sent to me.
Is it before the internet?
They released a couple of albums.
And you'd not listened to any of their music before you booked them?
Was it before the internet?
I think I've got a lesson in here somewhere for you. Hidden away somewhere of it.
Anyway, I hid in the loo.
You did what?
I just hid in the loo.
Well, that's how to lead from the front, that isn't it?
How did the audience receive it?
They all left.
So
There wasn't a soul in place.
how much did you pay for that band?
I can't remember.
So how many people were at the event?
There were about 60.
60 people.
Yeah.
They came on. How long were they playing before the room emptied?
About 5 minutes.
And you, how much did the event cost in total? Do you have any
I have
idea?
no idea. You don't ask questions.
And you had to fly them over from Newcastle, Australia, or not?
No,
Not-
they were
not-
already
oh, okay,
touring
that's
in
good.
Britain.
Yeah, there's a few lessons there.
Don't
a few
believe
subtle
the script.
lessons.
That's the thing.
But
Don't
you
believe
started
it.
this whole conversation with you learned how to walk an event and learn everything about the
Yeah, I
event.
know. Well, it just shows you there are sometimes lapses in concentration, aren't there? I got so, I just thought this would be great. They're funky. The promoter said they'd be great for you.
Yeah, we had somebody on the show, a guy called Tom, and he was telling us that he did they built an app, but unfortunately I think it was for Nokia, and you could download this app, and they tied it to Kylie Minogue's latest album, and they paid $15 million for it.
What?
And but unfortunately, the downloads section of it didn't work very well. So they got 37 downloads for £15 million investment. He said, check out the ROI on that, which I do love. I'll have to put the link in the show notes on that one.
But more so, I know there's some others, but the other thing that you would not probably think through, except I did on this. Well, no, that you can. I want to talk about the Coke incident.
Go on then, talk about the Coke incident.
Okay, so we had a reception for Burger King.
Okay.
We did PR for Burger King, and this was at a fancy hotel. It was about their new menu and how they actually flame grilled their stuff, right?
Okay.
It was all, and we had a proper chef there with his outfit and everything else. I mean, yeah, you see chefs in Burger King, don't you, wearing the full outfit with their name emblazoned, embroidered on there.
Okay.
Oh, well, he obviously went to the wrong Burger King.
Yeah. I imagine the chef.
All right. So what do they bring out in the bar?
Steak. Coke.
Yeah.
Cola.
Coca-Cola.
I thought you meant cocaine then. I was
No.
like,
No.
Go on,
What's the
Coca-Cola.
mistake there?
Well, they only serve Pepsi in Burger King, do they?
Yeah, because Pepsi owned Burger King, or did then.
Why on earth did they do that?
I hadn't instructed. They didn't know. It was a hotel,
Oh my God.
and they just said this is unbelievable.
So
Didn't do your homework.
Who said that? The client.
The client,
So you did a big press launching it, and they brought out Coca-Cola.
yeah, in the refreshments
And what,
at the bar afterwards.
did you get sacked for that?
I don't think we held the count for much longer.
That's a bit like, do you remember, I got served this on social media when, I think it was during the Euros, Cristiano Ronaldo was doing a press conference and
Oh, yeah.
3 bottles of Coke strategically placed. He just took them all away, got some water and said, drink water instead. And it's, in terms of brand damage, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, but the fact that they paid,
Yeah.
how many millions did they pay?
And they're just so
There's
obvious.
others coming, haven't I? Because I've put my hand up to several. of
But
those.
then often with stuff like that, right? You brand damage and think, like we've just done there. You said, oh, Ronaldo said drink water. But actually, if I'm Coca-Cola, I'm thinking, well, we've just got Coca-Cola talked about extensively everywhere.
Yeah, but
Negatively, but also we've got our brand in front of people with Ronaldo moving in. It's become a talking point.
But clients are very protective, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, senior executives are very. They have thin skin, some of them, don't they? I mean, they really. When people, when they just read reports, very few of them actually go around. I remember there were only about 2 or 3 executives that ever worked in my career that I have a high regard for. One guy was the CEO of Avis UK, who went for 1 week of the year. He went to clean cars. And I said, well, how can he afford to do that? And he said, I need to be there to see how it's done.
Oh, right, okay.
And I toured with him, and I realized that's how you see. That was before, the undercover boss. He was
Yeah, that's
doing
what
it.
I was thinking
Yeah.
of.
He was doing it.
Yeah,
I think he
and
spent 2 or 3 weeks.
A lot of the best marketeurs that we speak to go out and spend the day in the shop, just speaking to customers.
But no one knew.
To the customer.
No one knew in the branch who the hell he was. In fact, when I turned up,
It's a bit like that in my office.
Undercover plus. You're in so infrequently.
what the hell?
Oh, God.
What the hell's he doing? He was washing the car.
But that's
I recognised him.
What a way
And
to
he-
keep in touch with the reality of your business.
just said-
Did he reveal it at the end, or was it?
No, I just knew he was there because I'd worked with him.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, it's crazy. It's good. It's good that though. We've got another one here because
Yeah.
you've been. I mean, with your experience in PR, you've shared quite a few. The Trust House Forte.
Now that is somewhere. Yeah. So we won the Trust House 40 account. They were huge. They owned Motorway Service Areas, Welcome Break, Little Chef Lodges. They did all the airline catering, mostly catering at Heathrow Airport. They had a whole chain of hotels, including the Bristol in Paris, the Georges Cinq, as well as the Trust House 40 type hotels were like
I remember
the
them.
Holiday Inn type.
Yeah.
houses. Huge empire. And we'd won the account, massive account, and sent out this press release and spelt Trust House 40 wrong. I thought because Trust House had amalgamated years earlier that it would be one word, but actually Trust House is 2 words. The first I knew about this, it says Trust House 40, 3 words. Trust,
Right.
1 word, 40, second word.
And you wrote it as one. You wrote it as
Trust
2
House
words.
is 1 word.
Right, okay.
I take it they didn't like that.
The first I knew about
Was that the
it
first press release as well?
it was the first press release. that we submitted. I first I knew about this was 12 hours after this press release went out. I was called to the office of a guy called Bob Leaf, who was the legendary PR guru of the 20th century. And he said, "There's a problem." I said, "Oh, right, okay." He said, "You didn't invite me to sit down."
So you stood up in his office?
Stood up, yeah.
What is his office? A big mahogany 1980s
Yeah. It was
Power office.
Impressive. He was from he lived in the UK for a long time, but still had his Bronx accent.
Right, okay.
Tall guy, very impressive. He said, "I've just had a call from Harold Burson." I said, "Oh, right. About you." I said, "Why? I don't think my anniversary has come out," because Harold Burson used to write handwritten notes to people about happy wedding anniversary.
Right.
Things like that.
Oh, right.
Amazing.
Yeah. Personal touch.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we've lost.
Absolutely.
Carry on.
And he said, "You spelt Trust House 40 wrong in the press release." And he's had a call from Lord Forte, Charles Forte, asking me to sack you.
Oh my
I
God.
said, "Oh, right." He said, "What have you got to say for yourself?" And I said, "Well, first of all, it's my mistake. I wrote the release. But didn't you train as a journalist? So aren't you supposed to check things 3 times before you put them out?" And I said,
He's got you there.
yeah. And he said, "You didn't, did you?" I said, "No, I didn't. But no one else is to blame apart from me. I don't want."
What level are you at this point, by the
I
way?
was an associate director.
Okay, so you're quite senior.
Yeah.
Right.
So he said, "Well, several things are going to happen. First of all, you're due for a promotion to the board, but that's not going to happen. And we were about to give you, head of travel, leisure, and transport accounts in Europe, but that's not going to happen. And you're not going to get your bonuses this year either."
Oh my God.
As to whether I should dismiss you, I'm going to take a rain check on that, but you're going to have to go and apologise to Lord Forte, and you better give him a bottle of champagne, but it better be a decent bottle of champagne. So I went to Fortnum and Mason's and bought this £175 bottle of Veuve Clicquot Dame Grande champagne, all specially packaged and everything else.
Have you never drunk it?
No, I actually rang his office to make the appointment and asked him what was his favourite tipple, and it was this. Okay,
Oh, no, clever.
well, that's one. That was the only good thing. So
Good bit of
I
crawl.
got up in Lord Forte's office, and he's again sat behind the table, and I thought, "What the hell was going to
This must have been terrifying.
And he said, "What have you got to say for yourself?" And he said, "Look, it's entirely my fault. No one else in my team. I'm really sorry. I've spent, I've worked in your hotels as a receptionist and everything else before I came into PR when I was a student, and I respect everything you do and how you've grown your empire, and I know your background and everything else. I've done my homework at least."
Mm-hmm.
And so we had a chat about that, and he said, "And what have you got for me?" And I said, "Oh, I've got this bottle of champagne. I thought I would leave it." And he said, "Okay, but you're going to be working, I'm going to sack you, but you're going to be working 24/7 on this account and you'll keep it as long as we think you're delivering. And if you lose the account, you'll have to go."
Did you find that? Because I have to say, as a boss,
Yeah.
hearing how your boss dealt with that is quite different to how I would have dealt with that. It's quite interesting. He sent you straight in to meet the big head honcho and do you the groveling. Did you?
Oh, I'm sure there've been conversations before.
Did you find that built your relationship actually up with this client more? And so you started on the back
I
foot.
was just terrified. I mean, I went in like the naughty schoolboy sitting standing outside the headmaster's study. I didn't know what was going to happen.
I mean, this account must have been.
I thought I was going to get sacked. I mean, I knew I was going to get sacked.
It must have been a huge account for the agency.
It was a huge account for
Yeah.
the agency. But all credit to Bob Leaf. He was big and broad shoulders, I mean, he was Mr. Big. And he presumably said to Lord Forte, "Leave it with me and I'll deal with it."
I mean, I just
And
think
Burson Master, people used to have accounts of Burson Marsteller because it was the number one agency.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was like being invited to Buckingham Palace to meet the Queen in person, private audience. I mean, it was that it was that kind of agency.
Prestigious, yeah.
It was, and it's sad to see it as it is now. It's a form of shadow of itself.
Well, that's terrified me hearing that story. I was just imagining myself in that scenario.
Well, I learned. You know, it sounds like I haven't learned anything, but I've learned a lot from that, and I encompass that in my teaching. So, Franklin McCamley, who I taught, is now. She went into journalism after she left. She worked for the BBC. She's now going for a senior commentator for Al Jazeera in the Middle East.
Wow!
And I said, "Oh, congratulations! I always knew you'd go far." And she said, "I always remember your do not talks."
Do not do this.
I'm getting the theme of
they were born out of experience, and if you've gone through it, you somehow you never forget it, do you?
No,
I wouldn't have said this if I was still, in
it's quite
working
refreshing.
in PR, because I might get some business from people who made mistakes.
The theme here is detail, isn't it? The devil's in the detail. All of these mistakes. It's one tiny thing that has huge implications.
But the problem is sometimes there's a lot you can prepare for, but some things are so small, like the fact that the fact that the hotel served the Coca-Cola.
Yeah, that was a big learning lesson for me. And I thought for everything more, if you have any reception with anybody, is check what else does that company you're working for own?
Yeah.
In the food industry, if it's hospitality, food, hotels, and everything else. So you wouldn't organise a reception for Holiday Inn in a Novotel or Novotel brand, would you?
No,
it wouldn't happen. Or a Novotel cafe, So it was doing that. It reinforced to me you have to do your homework all the time. And as a boss, you need to check it through. It's no good saying, "Oh, it's little Johnny here," or "It's Andy behind the camera."
He doesn't check anything.
Well, he's a nice guy, though, isn't he?
He is
very
a
nice
guy.
to me.
He's a nice guy.
He was really nice to me.
Yeah, don't let that.
He was on the email, yeah. And he's probably very good at his job, I assume.
He's all right.
We've also got a story about Nationwide Building Society.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We
this
pitched a nationwide building society. It sounds like this came after one, but there were a few.
There was some success over the way.
So Nationwide Building Society, we pitched to them.
Great client, by the way.
We thought we did a good pitch to them. I've never worked in financial services, so I was did the pitch, and we got back to the offices. Thought we'd done a bloody good pitch, and we left a leave behind document. I don't know what you call them these days, but a little document about with our slides.
Acetates back in the day, were they?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah,
but we put those in the. Yeah, we put the whole thing together as a packet.
Yeah, bound.
And they ran up and they said, "Have you read through the document?" I said, "Oh, why? Is it the costings? It's too high?" She said, No. She said, "I think you might like to check what profession are you in?" I said, "Oh, public relations, marketing, the whole thing." She said, "I think you might like to check the spelling of public relations." She said, "I won't say anything more. I'll just call you." So, "Can you get the document now?" I said, "Well, yeah, I'll just," so there's a few minute pause. And I got some, shit. I'd left the L out of public relations. And all I could hear at the other was this laughter, not just from her, from the whole team.
Pubic relations?
Yes, pubic relations. And she said, you've made my week.
Did you get the account?
No, we didn't get that.
Oh, fuck. That's no good, is it?
Yeah, but I just thought that was wonderful.
It's a horrible typo.
Director of Pubic Relations.
Yeah, but it was. She
Minton-Taylor.
said the one good thing was that it's consistently spelt wrong.
Right, there we go.
How did you not see that?
It went through.
Yeah.
But how did the people who put the Grenfell Tower together did not know that it was thing? How did the people, the Fujitsu Horizon, didn't know it was a problem with the system?
They did know that, but allegedly. Close brackets.
Legal letter coming your
Yeah,
way.
exactly. Robert, obviously you've been in the industry for. I've just slammed the table. I'll get told off that. We've got 5 minutes, but if you've got a message to put out there into PRs and comms people out there and marketers, what's your message that you'd like to leave with them from your experience in? in the industry?
I'd like to think in a few years' time there'll be blind recruitment. You don't even know if the person's got PR experience when they apply for a job. You don't see their picture or anything else. And I think you might surprise who turns up through the door, because some of the most fantastic people I ever worked with PR didn't come from a PR background. They were dancers, they were comedians, whatever, but they were good. They were good at communicating with people. The other thing is learn from your mistakes, and obviously I've learned some, but not all. And I think the other thing is don't be too trusting in PR. I think, the one thing I've learned is always ask the questions of the answers, because the first answer you get may not be the truth. And I think given what's happening in the US, where we've got platforms like Truth Social, and we've got economy of truth with things, I think it's really important as public relations professionals that we stick to being transparent, open and honest. Right. And I'd hope to see less sexism in industry. I'd like to see, there are a lot of women who graduate, as you both know, but very few of them at board level. And I'd like to see them more at board level. That's not to say that every woman is a great leader, but a lot of them are, like Sarah Waddington. And I'm working with women in PR to try and help them as your typical public school educated 70-year-old man.
Yeah.
Male man, yes.
And I've got another question, and I'll let Will ask the final one. But
yes.
Obviously, both of us have taught on the PR degree. I was a PR degree graduate. I actually think you taught me in my first year.
Yes. That's why it's interesting that you are in charge. First time ever.
Really?
Yeah. Well, you're
I see what you mean. This of the podcast. Yeah. I was just going to say, like, PR degrees and comms degrees were really popular, and then they've sort of died, which is a real shame, because I felt like they had a 98%. It was a 90%. When you finished your degree, that you were in employment. That was the great. Yes. That was the thing that sold.
But I think that's the fault of both the university and PR lecturers for not safeguarding the degree and making it more applicable to 21st century. I think it's the fault of the large agencies who are not involved in PR degrees, really. Small agencies in Leeds are, very much so. I mean, that's not all agencies. Some are great, like Hope and Glory, are fantastic at that. But, it was interesting in my latter years at Leeds Beckett University, because I was working part-time, I didn't have my own desk, so I hot desk. And I worked in the architectural school, fine arts school and everything else, which is fascinating, because, visual arts are part and parcel of PR, aren't they, and communications. And I was interested to learn, I even worked in the engineering school in the building across from the Beckett Park, Rose Bowl campus. And what interests me was there's far more interest from the industry in the courses than there is now. I bought IKEA to Leeds Beckett because I thought that was a Swedish company. There'd be fantastic work on real life projects.
Yeah.
But for instance, the fashion degree at Leeds Beckett University has just teamed up with Burberry's. And they have a factory in Yorkshire.
Yeah.
I mean, they're big Yorkshire brands. So, and big international brand. What a fantastic cooperation there is. But there isn't, large agencies should get involved in the courses.
I think the big PR agencies, though, take all the richer private educated. Maybe they don't.
Well, I hope
maybe they want
the other thing I didn't mention, and which this is something of Anne Gregory, is that there are very few people from
working class backgrounds.
Exactly. And one of the people I'm most proud of is a woman who, I can't remember her name now, but she came from Chapeltown.
Okay.
And I remember she came to Leeds bus station, took me to her flat because I was going to help them with their dissertation. Said, you can't go on the bus on your own, not to Chapeltown as it then was. And we first got out the bus, and there was all this sort of, first thing I saw was a car and its roof had been burnt out and all this sort of stuff. She carried mace with her, and she'd done black belt karate.
Right.
But she's now a marketing manager for Yorkshire Air Ambulance.
Wow.
And I thought that that's what the post-1992 universities are so good at, is encouraging people from, those backgrounds, disadvantaged backgrounds, whatever they might be.
Into a profession.
Into a profession. And I admire people like you. I guess you come from a...
Working class background, yeah. My parents have, both. My mum's a cleaner and my dad's a construction worker.
Fantastic. And I used to love it at graduations, seeing the parents who were cab drivers, cleaners and everything else. It really made me proud.
But then there was people in my year at university. There was a girl, and I remember she put her hand up in class, and she was like, they were talking to her, and she'd put her hand up, and she said, and she was talking about a car that her dad had just bought. I can't remember what the question was, but it was a brand new M Sport BMW 5 Series. It was a 50,000, 60,000 pound car in year 2000.
It's a Leeds
brand
girl.
new. I was driving a clapped out Ford Fiesta
I
Mark
wasn't even
II.
driving it.
So
I think, yes, I agree. One of the things that lecturers used to do is Google where the students came from, and they'd see this massive great house in footballers' wives' territories. Making up.
We're approaching the time limit. The final question for you, Robert, and we ask all of our. I'm going to put you on the spot here. We ask all of our guests this question.
Yeah.
So, if you were us, who would you next to get on the show?
Andy Burnham.
Andy Burnham. Oh, that's not a hard brief. Is he got anything
Burnham.
coming up?
Is he busy at the moment?
Yeah, is he?
I think you should get Andy Burnham.
If you can get Andy Burnham on our podcast, I'll shake your hand personally. I'll take you for lunch, Robert.
If only we'd got him about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I think you should. I think your podcasts are very interesting, and I think that what makes them interesting is you don't just take people from the marketing profession.
Yeah.
We've never had a politician on it, have we? We've had business owners, entrepreneurs, marketers.
That's because politicians give vague
But he's
answers.
different. He's going to be different, don't you think?
I hope so. He's a good. He's a good communicator, and he's from a working class background.
Exactly.
Robert, how can people get in touch with you? I'm sure people are going to listen to this and they're going to...
Robert at Minton-Taylor.com.
Okay,
That's it.
Will get me.
Great. Okay,
You can email me. I do look at emails.
they'll find you on LinkedIn as well.
You can find me on LinkedIn, and I've got an interesting thing, haven't I, at the top of my LinkedIn profile?
I looked at it. I looked
It's
at
on
it.
honesty, integrity. You've got to tell the truth or something like that. And I do admit that I screwed up.
Yes, so do I. That's why I
lost my
started a
job.
podcast about it.
Right,
Thanks
thank
so
you,
much,
Robert.
mate.
That was
I was
amazing.
only seen by one person, though.
Yeah.